Today we are going to talk about money. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Valeria Niño, and in this video I'll show you how I organize my financial resources. So let's get started. I use an Excel spreadsheet to meticulously track my finances. I have to clarify, I downloaded it from the Querido Dinero website. There are many formats available for download. You just have to create an account and a login. I modified some values or categories in this sheet. For example, in the first section we have incomes. This will include earnings from a job, freelance projects, investment returns, as well as other resources such as scholarships or prize winnings. I divided it into 2 incomes per month. Then we have the expenses, which are divided into 2 categories: necessary expenses and pleasurable experiences. The necessary expenses include food, rent, utilities, transportation, health, family, other expenses, cell phone bills, and education. On the other hand, we have spending time, which covers activities like hanging out with family or friends and going on vacations. On the left side of those categories, we have a percentage ratio and a budget. This is because I allocate a certain amount monthly for all of those expenses. I want to clarify that these categories, ratios, amounts, and organization may not remain the same in the future, nor were they necessarily the same in the past. It's essential to analyze your current life situation and needs, such as whether you are single or married, if you have children or not yet, or if you are full-time or part-time student, for example. I chose these categories and amounts based on my current lifestyle. Previously, I lived with roommates and rented a room, but now I am living with my family. These categories are like living entities, subject to change. It's crucial to analyze your current situation and adjust accordingly. In this example, I allocate 10% of my earnings for food, 25% to rent, 5% to utilities, 2% to transportation, 1% to health, 10% to family, 2% to other expenses, 1.5% to cell phone bills, and 5.5% to education. In this case, for example, I allocate funds each month for medical services, even if I don't need them regularly. This way I have a reserve set aside for when I do need medical care. This principle can be applied for expenses as well. For instance, if you have a pet, you might allocate funds for a veterinary care each month, even if you don't currently need it. The goal is to build up a reserve for future expenses and manage finances more effectively. And I allocate another 5% to each pleasurable expense category. And my last set of category is investments, which is my favorite category. For this exercise, I allocate a percentage for various goals, which we will discuss later. I utilize different amounts such as Bondilla or CETES, which are federal investments in Mexico. Additionally, I use Nubank, which is a SOFIPO, a financial institution designed to serve low-income individuals and micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in Mexico, as well as Finsus. I also have my Afore, similar to 401k plan in Mexico, and a personal retirement plan, or PPR. Finally, I have a fintech account called Yo Te Presto, which is a platform where you can lend money to people in need for a specific period. At the bottom of the Excel sheet, we have the total amount of income and expenses. The difference between them represents your monthly cash flow. It's crucial for this figure to remain positive as a negative cash flow could signal financial challenges for your organization. Let's see an example. Income 1 consists on my bi-weekly salary of, for example, 10,000 Mexican pesos. Earnings from freelance projects totaling 3,000 pesos and investment returns 200 pesos. This brings the total for income 1 to 13,200 pesos. From this amount, I allocated 1,200 pesos for food, 3,000 pesos for half of the monthly rent, 500 for utilities, 300 for transportation, 200 for health, 1,000 for family, 250 for other expenses, 200 for cell phone bills, and 500 for education. For pleasurable experiences, I allocated perhaps 500 pesos to each one. For my investments, where I aim to keep the majority of my funds, I'll allocate, for example, nothing for Bondia, 400 for Nu, 2,500 for Finsus, 100 for 1K, and 100 for PPR, and nothing in this case for Yote Presto. In this case, I have a positive result, allowing me to either invest the amount or use it for leisure activities. For my second income, I earned 10,000 pesos, 2,000 from freelance projects, and 300 for investment returns, and nothing for others. I have the same necessary expenses, and now I know that these are my basic monthly expenses. At least I need around 14,000 pesos to survive. Spend time and vacations. In this case, vacations serve as a form of savings. I don't use the amount right away. Instead, I keep it for when I'll need it. Lastly, the same applies to investments. Total income, total expenses, and the cash flow. And that's generally how I organize my finances. I also have another section on this sheet, which is my investment log. Here I track my investments and monitor their growth. Here I set objectives for each allocated amount as mentioned earlier. For example, Bondia serves as my emergency fund. Finsus is designated for my goal of purchasing a new car. Nubank is earmarked for my challenge, where I aim to accumulate 65,000 pesos, which I'll explain shortly. My 401k and personal retirement accounts are dedicated to retirement savings, and my fintech account is allocated for funding my master's degree. Here I record the growth for each investment monthly. For instance, if I start with 500,000 pesos for each investment, just an example, I don't contribute any additional funds to Bondia. I'll only have the investment returned for that month. For example, if Bondia pays a 12% annual return, I'll see approximately a 1% return for that month. For Finsus, for example, I have my monthly return, like for example, is like a 1%, but I put here 5,000 pesos this month. Now for new bank. My 101k, PPR, and nothing for my fintech. That's all. Again, that was just a quick example. Now I'll show you to my real portfolio in new bank account. In my new account, there's a section called Cajitas, where I organize my money accounts. Currently, new pays 14.75% annual return on the investments. I have several cajitas of different investments, including this challenge. Currently, I deposited around 25,000 pesos and received 200 pesos in returns. I plan to continue growing this account. I'm on track. In general, this is how I organize my accounts. I'm particularly interested in topics related to savings, personal finances, and investments. What do you think about it? How do you organize your finances?